Rent strike. A rent strike is a form of protest where tenants refuse to pay rent to their landlords in order to demand better living conditions, affordable rents, or other needed changes. Recently, there has been a rent strike in Toronto, where hundreds of tenants in 4 apartment buildings have stopped paying rent. The tenants are claiming that rents have increased up to 25% or more. The tenants have organized rallies and protests to raise awareness of their situation and to demand change. Landlords in Toronto have responded to the rent strike in different ways. Some landlords have threatened legal action against the tenants who are withholding their rent. Some landlords have accused the tenants of breaking their lease agreements and have threatened to evict them. Others have tried to negotiate with the tenants to find solutions to the issues raised by the strike. In this way, the rent strike could be considered successful because it has put pressure on landlords to address the tenant issues and to negotiate with them to find a solution. Participating in a rent strike can have potential consequences for tenants. Here are some of the possible negative outcomes. Eviction. If tenants refuse to pay rent, landlords may take legal action to evict them from the property. And, in most cases, landlords will also file lawsuits against these tenants to recover the unpaid rent. Bad credit history. If tenants do not pay rent, it can negatively impact their credit scores and might make it harder for them to rent in the future. Costly legal fees. If tenants are sued by their landlords, they may have to pay legal fees to defend themselves in court. Legally, it is contrary to the Ontario Residential Tenancies Act, RTA, for a tenant to withhold rent. Impact on landlord employees. According to some sources, rent strikes can have a negative impact on the ability of landlords to pay essential employees such as managers, custodians, and maintenance workers. Strained relationships with landlords. Rent strikes can create tension between tenants and their landlords, potentially making it difficult to resolve even simple issues in the future. It is important to note that the consequences of participating in a rent strike can vary depending on the circumstances and local laws. Tenants who are considering a rent strike should consult with a legal professional who specializes in landlord-tenant law to understand their rights and the potential risks.